All right, folks, and for today's secret sauce, we have managing metallic threads. With the holidays fast approaching, it is the season for running metallics. They may not be a seasonal favorite for us, but they are for our customers sometimes, and they can cause some technical headaches, particularly if a customer doesn't like the easier to run modern coated metallics that have relatively recently entered the scene. Old school metallics have been a class for everything from monograms to military badges. Anything meant to shine or shimmer often calls for that metallic thread. Construction of a core wrapped in various metallic colored foils and films, these complex threads can be prone to breakage, bird nesting, and tension troubles. The following 5 tips, however, can make working with them a much less stressful experience. So the first one is fight the friction. Keep your thread path clean and clear, and digitize balanced densities, lighter densities, so as to avoid metallic thread binding as it's pushed through dense parts of your design. Use a needle with a larger eye if stitching with any of the thicker metallics. Also, you'll find that it really does make a difference how much friction we submit this stuff to. Certainly, you can't avoid all of it, but you can fight some of it back. Some people have also said, and I've found myself, that you can find lubricating your needle with clear lubricants like non-stained silicone sprays made for the task can really help keep fraying at bay a bit. Next thing we have to do is tame the tension. The rougher texture and thus the extra friction that's natural for metallics, especially old school metallics, may mean you need to loosen your upper tension a bit. There are different thoughts on this in the market. It really does depend on the thread. So think about that, but do realize that tension can be part of your issue, especially with increased friction. Coupled out with the tendency of some metallics to stretch and spring. Some of them are very springy, very stretchy, and you might see that managing tension becomes a problem for you. Use gauges, use the tensions that are shown on your thread vendor's website. That's a good place to start. And also, you can always do the simple satin stitch test. The back of a minimum width satin stitch should be about a third top thread, a third bobbin, and a third top thread in stripes to make sure your tension's even. So check a wide satin and see how that does. Your standard Fox test, which many of you may know from the embroidery world, can certainly help that without having to necessarily get out the gauges. And the next thing is to keep the kinks away. Metallic thread likes to kink and twist on itself, creating loops and bends that are sure to tangle and break when they hit a tight spot in the thread path. Every embroiderer seems to have their own way of combating this. Some of these sound a little goofy at the outset, admittedly. Some of the basic stuff, lengthening the distance between the spool and the machine by using a thread tree that lets that thread relax over a longer span instead of just into the normal thread path. That's something I've seen with external cone holders. Hanging a heavy paper clip or a weight from the thread between 2 points in the thread tree. I've also seen literally just to pull it down. Even to passing that thread through a styrofoam packing peanut or another sacrificial item, like a lubed piece of felt, has been seen as well as a way to keep those kinks from getting all the way down to the needle. There is a theory on these techniques. It's just physically preventing the thread from twisting on itself and straightening out those kinks. Just remember that they will impart some extra tension, and you might want to check that out before you run anything. Next is to slow your stitching. As speed increases, so does tension and stress. If you are running at the absolute max that you can, the chances of problems are going to just increase. So roll back your stitches per minute a little bit, and it might lighten the load on the more fragile metallics if you're having trouble. And last but not least whatsoever, find a favorite thread. Not all metallics are made equal and not are suited for every use. We're running on incredibly coarse materials or something that is likely to cause more friction. We're using a really friable, easily broken old school metallic thread. You may really try and push something that's going to hold up a little better. The newer coated metallics can make a massive difference, even though they do look a little bit different as far as the highlight and shine. But even among those classic metallics, your results may vary from thread brand to thread brand. Test the metallic threads on your machine or for your particular combination of materials when you can. Some combinations are easier to run with than others, and if those are the ones you offer the customer first, there's a load of customers who are not going to come to you and say that metallic's not the right sparkle. They just want gold metallic, silver metallic, or a color metallic to get that extra highlight. They may not even know that there's the other option. Save yourself the headache and promote the kind of threads that run the best for you. Uh, all in all, though, metallics just need a little TLC to run well and stay steady. Take it easy and give both yourself and your threads some slack. And that's my secret sauce.